If you with it, drop it.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Mantate Show. This is a weekly podcast that gets you into the vibe of how I think about life, how I do life. But always the excitement for me is that you share with me how you think about the different things that I get to talk about. I wanted to come here today and talk about something that I feel like we don't give enough attention. This topic is very, close to my heart. It's very close to my heart. And I think the reason why I want to talk about it is I feel like we're not learning enough from our journeys. And if we're not learning enough, it means that we're not able to kind of like apply the lessons that could literally improve our lives going forward if we encounter the same things. So I feel like this is just like a reminder of we need to be learning from our own lives, and in learning we better ourselves, but also in learning we get to teach others, or others get to see through us and they learn a thing or two. So I want to talk today about friendships, y'all. Like, friendship heartbreaks are crazy. It's a lot. Like, I was talking to a friend the other day and we were talking about the fact that sometimes friendship heartbreaks can actually be more painful than, a heartbreak with like a boyfriend or whatever. So I think it's very important that we talk about friendship breakups, because those are like super crazy. And I think the craziest ones are always the friendships that end after such a long time. And I think friendships end for different reasons, and that's why we have to have this conversation, because there are some friendships that really have to end, but then there's some friendships where it ends and you're just here like, what just happened? It takes you a moment to really realize this just happened and this is real, right? So I wanted to just sit down here and have a conversation with you guys, because in this journey of life, I've learned so much about friendships, and I've learned a lot about, being very intentional about the friendships that I keep, and also in how I feel when friendships end, because it's not always me ending the friendship. Sometimes it's like someone else ending the friendships. And I think it's just important to understand how to deal with it when you're the one that is ending a relationship, a friendship, or if it's the other person ending it, because it just goes in two ways, right? It's how you feel on either side, so you just have to really think about it. So maybe the place that I can start from is just the value of friendships for me. I think that's a good place to start before we talk about the crazy side of friendship breaks up, right? Breakups. So I'm very big on friendships, meaningful friendships. I really value friendships, and I feel like I'm a bit of a builder, and I'm like a long durée type of person. I feel like there's always a bigger picture. I feel like the friendship is going towards something bigger, which is eternity. I always try to make sure my friendships are built in the direction of long term. I'm one of those people in life who enjoys friendships that come a long way, because I do feel like people that know where you're coming from, why certain things mean something to you, they're very helpful people to have, especially as you pursue your purpose, because those are the people that remind you of your why. Those are the people that, remind you of your energy, what you used to be, what used to drive you when you start losing it. But they're also the people that, can be helpful in reminding you to slow down, be humble, or, it's getting to your head. You need people like that. It's accountability, right? When people are there to just ground you in your principles, in your values, or in the way that you've thought about your journey and how you want to go about it. So I'm very big on friendships that last a very long time, because I'm I can know that I'm not doing this life thing on my own. I've got someone else, and I can be that person to the friend as well. And then also, I feel like long-term friendships are really nice, because I feel like they're not as stress-free as new friendships. I feel like new friendships can be a lot of work, because there's complexities of trying to build. And you're building in a time in our lives where, guys, we're adulting, so much is happening in our lives. Sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to do what you need to do. And then sometimes you really want to do it, but the other person doesn't have the bandwidth at that particular moment. So there's all these complexities in building new friendships. Not that they're difficult. I've built a lot of new friendships. I'm always starting new friendships. I'm always initiating new connections, and some of them last into long-term friendships. Some of them are just temporary, which is also okay, because there are some friendships that occupy a certain moment in your life or certain space in your life, and that's just okay, right? So I think for me, the long-term friendships are always my biggest thing. I have friendships that go as far back as when I was young, in primary school, friends that I grew up around in the same hood, friends that I've watched grow. And it's so nice, when we meet and we're talking about what God has done or what we still want to achieve. And we're like, we were at some point over 2 decades ago in the hood thinking about these things, speaking them loud, but not knowing we're going to be here. And also some of them that we spoke out loud, it's not all of them that we've been able to achieve, but I think it's a good number of them. And I love those kind of friendships because it's like you're looking back and like realizing just how much work has been put in, right? But also just how good, you've had it, or how much you've managed to overcome. Because I think the good in this moment is not always reflective of a journey that was easy. For us to be where we are right now, there is a lot. Like a lot, there's a lot of good things, there's a lot of terrible things, but I think just being here enjoying gratitude is just reflective of I've overcome, I am strong, I'm resilient, I am ambitious, I'm still holding on to that dream, to that idea. So I think the long-term friendships, at least for me, like they sit like that. So it's friendships from when I was young in primary school, it's friendships from high school, and then also some friendships that I established like in university and in my work. I feel like I'm just always making friends, right? And then some of them end up being super close friends, because I think with me, I think there's like levels to this friendship thingy. There are friends that I have that are not as close, which I guess is every human being. I have a lot of people in my life that I value as friends, like a lot of people in different parts of the world, people who occupy different spaces in my life. I do feel like my heart has enough space for all of them. So I do have a lot of people in my life that regard me as a friend, yeah? And I'm saying yeah because I hope, that's what they think, but that I regard as friends. And then I have people that I regard as like, these are the soldiers if we're going to war, which we're not going to do, but if we're going to battle with anything in this life that's difficult, these are like the people that I'm bringing along with me. So I have friends that are really close to my heart, the people that are an extension of me. I feel like my friendships are extensions of me, because in my friendships, that's where I draw a lot of inspiration, a lot of encouragement, a lot of affirmation. But it's also a place where I get to be to my friends what I want them to be, to me as well. So I think it's a space where you get to remember to be human enough to check on your friends, human enough to, to care for your friends, to worry about your friends, to celebrate your friends. So I think I value friendships in that sense of, it's an extension of me and I'm an extension of my friends. So I'm very, very big on like long kind of term friendships. Short-term ones are also cool. You get into certain spaces where, like I'm just going to be here for 1 year. I'm going to be here for 2 years. I'm going to build very, great partnerships and connections. But understanding that the person that's your friend today might not be around you in a year. You might be in different continents. You might be occupying different, spaces in the world, and you may not have the same energy and space to hang out in the way that you were, to call as much as you, did before, or to just be in that friendship that we normally, classify, that constant connection, that constant feeding off each other. So there are some friendships where I know like this is not as long term because of the kind of space that we're occupying, or we are forced by circumstance to build a relationship. We're working together on something, or I don't know, there's always something that brings people together. And I feel like just being able to establish a certain way of existing together and filling in your days, in ways that are meaningful for both of you. I feel like those friendships can go in two ways. It can be friendships that turn into lifelong friendships, because some people can do long distance friendships. I'm a pro at that. I have my friends everywhere. And I love my long distance friendships. It does work, but there are some people that are not good at it. So, like in that 1 year, you're going to be building and you're going to be enjoying the friendships and the connections. But then after a year, you're moving back into your space and you may not be in full contact with those people. Or it's one of those things where you go like into a program together. I know for instance, at some point I was in a yearly program in South Africa, and I spent like a month or so with people and I built friendships, right? Some of them are like my friends now. This was like May 2018, right? And I have friends that are so close to my heart that are like still my people, But then there are some people that, I still have connected with, like I'm still connected with them on Facebook and other places, but we're not in contact like that. So it's one of those things where if I was in their city, and we bumped into each other, or someone recognizes that, oh, you're in my city, in my area, we can, have coffee or something, I'd still hang out for that coffee, right? But it's not the friendship where I'm like, I'm coming to your country and I'm calling you, hey, I'm coming to your country. So I think just friendships in that temporality is about understanding just, how far this can go, but also understanding that there is strength in the temporal nature of that friendship as well. Not all friendships need to be lifelong, and that's just, the bottom line. I feel like this kind of mindset does help me a lot, because it also shields me a bit from, being too heartbroken every time I'm, leaving a place and then I don't have my friends anymore, or I'm not in the same place and I'm not able to hang out with my friends. Because imagine if you're a group of people and then you're the only one living, and then everybody keeps hanging out and then you're not there. That FOMO will kill you, okay? So I think for me, having the right mindset around friendships and how long they can go and how short they can be, it helps me a lot to really build meaningfully, and also to engage myself, like not hold myself back because it's just 12 months of knowing those people. I think I'm one of those people that shows up to really enjoy spaces, because I feel like every moment we have is a gift. I just enjoy life. I'm just here to enjoy my life, my journey. I don't want to be, to be holding back joy. I want to just be happy, to be affirming people. I enjoy affirming people. I like celebrating people. I like sitting down with people and listening to what they're planning to do and being able to contribute towards that, or just to listen. Sometimes it's not always contributing, right? So I feel like for me, thinking intentionally about friendships and how long they can be has been such a powerful thing. And I will also talk about it later when I talk about friendship heartbreaks, because then it helps you to understand when it does hit me that, this friendship is ending, because some friendships end and I'm like, I'm okay with it. Then some other ones end and I'm like, Lord Jesus, hold my hand, because I can't do it. So it's a very, very crazy space. And I think for me, mindset is like the most important thing. Just having the right mindset prepares you for crazy things in this life. So that's kind of like the vibe for like my long-term friendships, and also like the short-term friendships. But also I always feel like it's such an interesting thing, because there's someone that believes you're friends with them like that, right? It's like you are like deep in the friendship, and then you may not see them that way, which is also a strange thing, because it means on their part they're building, they're investing so much in the friendship. So I can't answer this one, because I feel like I don't know how to to explain it, and I feel like I've never really figured it out in this life. But I feel like it's very complex. It is actually very complex, because someone can regard you as their like bestie, their closest friend, and this time, like in your world, like they're not close like that. And I think what's said is that person can get hurt because you're not giving yourself as much as they are giving themselves, because you don't know how far in their life they've placed you. So you think you're friends, you're good people, you know each other, which is super cool, which is nice, right? But for them, you're bigger than that. And so there are ways in which you fail to measure up or to meet them at the same place where they are pushing themselves to meet you. And then if you don't meet them there, it's like you're not really investing, and that's not cool as well, because it's like being in a friendship but you're not doing the work that it takes to sustain and build a friendship. So I do think that sometimes individually we do need to get a lot of clarity in our friendships, because then it saves us from a lot of heartbreaks, because you're not going to be hurt by the fact that someone else is not giving you much attention, or they're not hanging out with you, or they're not doing to you what you expect your friends to do, what your other friends are doing. So I think it's very important to establish that clarity of, I was hoping that you would do A, B, C, D. Is that where we're at? I think it's very important. It's like, relationships. If you're going to be getting to know someone, there needs to be clarity of what are we trying to do, where we're trying to go, right? So in the same way that you find clarity with a prospective partner, you need to find clarity with friendships, because you don't want to be, stringing along and then realize it wasn't actually building towards something, and that sucks, because you would have put in the work. So it's very important for you to intentionally, get clarity on your friendships. And also as a person, taking the responsibility to be fair to people, because I feel like sometimes people rate you highly in their life because of something that happened, whether it's the encounter they had with you or something that they draw from you and things like that. So it is very fair as well on our part to always ensure that there's a sense of clarity in our friendships, and that we give ourselves where we need to give ourselves. Like if someone regards me as a friend and they're constantly checking on me and they do the most in ensuring that, they feed into your life, it is only fair that in my own way I feed back, right? And where I can't, I let them know like, I can't give you this much of me. one of the things that helps me in life, and I'm very intentional about this in friendships and relationships and everything, I always clarify how much of me I can like bring into a relationship, even work partnerships. Like someone can ask me, let's work on this right now, and I'm like, I do not have the bandwidth right now to get into this, but if ever you needed to ask a question or two, I'll be happy to jump in and, you know, provide that. So I think I'm like that with friendships as well, where I'm like, right now I do not have this capacity for this, but I am happy to do A, B, C, D. It does help. I know it sounds a bit mechanical when you think about it. It's like you have to check all your friends and be like, yo, are we friends like that? But I don't think that's the point. I think all of us know, you can see where effort is being placed in your life. You can see the people that are really putting in the effort in your life. And it's very important that we find ways of valuing that effort, recognizing it, affirming it, and if we can, give back to that person as well so that they are also nourished. So I think we need to be intentional, because we can break hearts as well. It's not always people breaking our hearts. It can also just be us, you know, failing to recognize when someone is like really putting in the work. And also if it's friendships where, you know, like this is the solid friendship, because this is for those that are not clarified, like where you feel like, okay, I'm not here like that, the other person is. There are some friendships where you are like, it's a genuine friendship, you guys have established each other as like chomies, yeah, the real, you know, the real deals. And you need to build yourself, you need to bring yourself to the relationship. I think it's very important that relationships are not one-sided, one person is doing all the heavy lifting, because that's what leads to, you know, the heartbreaks that I'm going to talk about later. It's when, you know, there's this unequal yoking, you know, in this situation where someone is doing all the work. And I don't think that's fair. It's like a relationship. No one person can carry, you know, the world for both of you. It just feels like unfair, because what are you doing? If someone else is doing the work, what are you doing? Why are you benefiting from a friendship that you're not, you know, investing in? So I think if you're in a friendship with someone, it's very important that you try by all means to, you know, give it the best. And I think it comes from this idea of relationships as spaces where we get something from each other. We're not trying to transact. We're not saying, okay, I'm giving you a pen, so give me a pencil, or write for me somewhere. It's just this idea of we build connection and friendships because we can see what we can get from someone. This is the value that they can add to my life, and this is the value that I can add to my life, to their life. So when they add that value to mine and I don't add my value to them, that's very disrespectful, right? Because what are you trying to do, right? So if someone is building into your life, you need to, you know, invest back. And this is not always to say that everything someone does you need to do for them. It's just this idea out there. I have to be a certain level of doing the work. And it doesn't always have to be like 50-50 in the sense of they could be doing the heavy lifting emotionally right now when you're like at your lowest, and you're just giving 20%. At your highest, you're also giving it 80%, and they're bringing in 20. When you guys are in great space, it's 50-50. So I think it's just understanding that at different points in your lives, you are able to give certain percentages of yourself into the partnership, into the friendship, and just being comfortable in that and actually accepting that as reality, because it's not even up to you. It's just how the world is designed. You can't give 100% every day. But I think it's just this idea of honor your percentage. Like you can't just be chilling there and enjoying friendships and you're not doing the work. I just think that's very disrespectful. And that's not friendship at all. You are not respectful. Friendships are meant to be respectful. Friendships are meant to nourish each other. We're supposed to grow each other. It's supposed to be a space that, you know, brings you joy and happiness, because otherwise, why am I there, right? So friendships need to be very thought out, and it's a responsibility that all of us have to carry for our friendships. And I love that I'm doing this because my friends are watching this and they're just ticking the boxes, seeing where I'm falling short. Please come and let me know so that we start fixing things, because I think a lot of things as well, you know, we miss things. We don't recognize that we're actually not doing the things that we need to do, or that we're slacking somewhere. So I think it's very important for us to have very transparent friendships where we come in and say, girl, you say A, B, C, D, but you're not doing this. I've been doing the heavy lifting. So how far? You know, we do like an audit of the relationship and see, okay, is it worth moving on with this kind of friendship, or do we reevaluate our terms of engagement type thing? So I think it's very important to kind of have that kind of openness in your friendship, the transparency, the intentionality to know where you are not doing well, but also to feel like you can see where you're doing well and the fruits of, you know, that labor. So it's very important. I think I've spoken about a good number of things right now, but I'm actually trying to not get to the heartbreaks very quickly because in case I need a little tissue. But yeah, I think that yeah, like I feel like this is such an interesting conversation to have. I'm gonna talk about the heartbreak spot at the end, but I just wanted to unpack the idea of friendship because it's such an important thing, right? It's just a lot of conversation about what do your friendships look like, what are you bringing to the table, and what is the other person, bringing to the table or getting from the table. What are you all, negotiating and transacting on a daily? So I think friendships need to be really thought out. Otherwise, I think as you grow, like if you look at your life lately, if you look at the last couple of years in your life, you can see the changes in your friendships. Like you can see the patterns in the sense of you can see the friendships that died a natural death. Even the ones that you thought wouldn't die, that actually died. And it could be the other person's fault. It could also be just your fault, right? So it's just this idea of looking at the pattern of friendships and see the friendships you lost that meant something to you that you shouldn't have lost. And you probably lost because you didn't do the work, and starting to think about how do I re-engage those friendships if I can, or how do I become a better person for the current friendships that I have. I think it's very, very useful. But also in looking at the pattern, I think you start to see the friendships that don't work, or the places where you stretch yourself and you probably shouldn't have. So knowing that, as I grow, as I continue to evolve, I'm not, bringing myself into this kind of partnerships because they're not worth my time. So I think it's very important as you grow to just be more thoughtful about friendships because they occupy a certain part of your life. We don't have enough time. I think that's just my conclusion. Like, it's just this idea of we don't have time to waste. I personally don't have time. Like, I have time to do my work. I have time to do school. I have time to create my content like this because I enjoy it. I have time to do my hair, to do things I love. I have time to, cook for myself, eat. I have time to do things that nourish my body because if I'm not at school, I want to be breathing because school takes so much of my life and my energy. School is a lot, work is a lot. We commit ourselves so much to those things. I have family, right? So I'm dealing with, just being present enough for my sister, for my mom, for my cousins, just to be present because I'm part of that ecosystem too and I need to build into that. So when you already see, like right now, like just looking at all those things, that's already a lot. I'm busy, guys. Keep busy. The point is to say there's just so much on the table already. So friendships are negotiated in that space, right? So you're already looking at the fact that this is my day and it's already full of those things. How do I ensure that I still bring myself into other things that are not fixed? Like, my family is fixed. I'm like tied to my family forever. That's cool. But like, this is just what it is, right? I can't choose to not be present. I need to be present. And then my work, I don't have a choice. Work needs to be done. School, I have to do school. So it's one of those things where like, these are fixed things. But friendships and other things, it's things you negotiate. It's things you choose every day to say, okay, this is the time I have. This is the energy and bandwidth that I have. Can I fit this friendship? Which of my friendships can I fit in this current moment of my life? So I think it's a lot of negotiation. And that's why you need to think about it. If you don't, it's just gonna, it's just gonna overwhelm you. It's just gonna take from you, the opportunity to be in genuine friendships. You're gonna lose friends. You're gonna be a terrible friend. You're gonna be an absent friend. You're gonna be in all sorts of friends, but not a good friend, right? So you don't wanna be that person for other people because people are already also negotiating their own space and their time. So I don't think anyone has the space to, create platforms for people that don't have time for them or don't have the commitment to show up. So I feel like, we're all just negotiating our time. And for us to choose friendships every day, it means that we are being intentional about which friendships make it to our daily conversations, which friendships make it to our weekly checkups or the monthly checkup or, the yearly checkups, because not all friendships need to be like a daily, kind of friendship. I have friends that come a long way, like we go as far back as high school, but it's friends that I still talk to here and there. Like we will check up once in a while just to know where we're at, or just once when you remember that friend, you just send them a message, hey, what's up? I hope you're good. I'm good. Just wanted to say hi and I hope everything is fine. So it's those kind of things, right? So it's just understanding how, wide the spectrum of friendships is and being able to see which ones you're showing up for every day, which ones you're showing up for weekly, and which ones are you showing up, whenever you can. Because I think the other thing is we are human, so we can't show up in all the places all the time. So I think just for me, recognizing those things is so important. It's all about mindset. It's all about understanding what you can do, what you can't do, and choosing to do the right thing for yourself and for the people that call you friend, that you get to call friend. So I think those are like the most important things for me in terms of like how I think about friendship. If I think of other things, I will also bring them in, right? But then I wanted to talk about friendship heartbreaks because I've experienced friendship losses that were very interesting. I think I'll just talk about two because those are the ones I can remember that like really meant the world, in the sense of I've lost some friendships where I'm like, I'm not too mad that I lost someone. Like, I'm just glad they've found their place somewhere else, because there's nothing of me that I can give to that friendship right now. So them releasing themselves is also a blessing, or me releasing them is also a blessing to them, because I'm giving them the space to make new friends that, you know, can show up for them. But there's two friendships that I feel like for me meant something, and the way that I like lost them is also very interesting. So one of them was like someone that I knew from like 2017, I think. Yeah, I met this person in 2017. Love her to bits. I still do. She's still like one of my favorite people in the world, and I see her online, so I get to know like she's in good space, she's doing well, she's growing, which is the blessing of, you know, internet. It allows us to know that the friends we have, people that we care about, are actually doing great. But I think one of the things that actually was interesting for me was I think sometime in 2022, thereabout 2022, 2023. I realized that we'd not been friending the way that we were. Like, we were not talking enough. We were not hanging out at all. I mean, we knew like we were okay because online we can see each other. Like, I know she's doing well because I can see her at work. I can see her, you know, doing other things. So I know she's fine. It was almost like this was enough, like, for us to know that the other person is okay. So I feel like both of us in that sense were wrong in seeing that as sufficient, because there was a moment in our lives where we were more than that. You know, there was moments where I got to like meet her people, she would see my people. So I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, adulting happened, life happened. She had work as well, she had a lot of things going on, I had my own things going on. So I feel like we just found ourselves in a space where we were no longer doing the friendship. And we never talked about it. I think we should actually. I'm going to send her a message after this. And I'll definitely send her a link to this. Because I feel like we should actually have a conversation. Because some of those friendships, when they end, right, it's like none of you even realize like the friendship has ended. If you do, it's like you don't stop to, you know, to hold each other accountable and sit down and be like, yo, I realize like we've shifted, we've changed, we've evolved into totally different spaces and things. And that's cool. But it would be great to have a conversation about, you know, how we got here and how this makes you feel. I think those kind of, you know, conversations would be nice. I should start doing that. Yeah, I think I will, because I feel like it doesn't help to wonder, right? To just be there like, oh, we adulted, and then I'm like, yeah, we adulted, we're gonna keep adulting. We can't keep adulting and, you know, fading away from each other. So I think it comes back to the thing I mentioned earlier, that a lot of what sustains friendships is just the showing up on both sides. Like, one person has to do the work, the other person has to do the work. When one person doesn't do the work, the friendship suffers. If two people don't do the work, the friendship suffers. So that's one of my friendships that I really lost. This one I lost I think it hurt me because she's someone that's like super close to my heart. Like, I love her so much, and one of the things I loved seeing was her growth, evolving from a particular place that she was at a couple of years back, and seeing her in a space of growth and doing so well. I think that's why, like, there's a part of me that's like in joy when I think about the friendship, because I'm like, I know she's doing so well, she's in a good place. So I'm not even here like my friend's not growing. Like, she's doing well. So there's that comfort in knowing she's chasing the goals, which is really nice. And it gives you a lot of, you know, I don't know, it just makes me happy to know she's cool, like she's happy like that. But I think what hurts, the part that hurts, is realizing that this is a friendship that ended because we were not friending each other. We were not showing up. I wasn't showing up as much as I should have. And I think it's that whole thing of just recognizing how much of yourself you can bring and communicating how much you can't give. Like, I think in the friendships that matter, we should actually make an effort to kind of like reach out to people and be like, yo, I hope you're good. And I know like we're not talking much, but it's a lot, and I'm gonna be having a lot, especially when school is in the picture. I feel like when I'm just doing work, there's a part of me that's able to like negotiate more time and space. When it comes to school, like I really immerse myself. I literally just get lost in it so much that sometimes I do not have any bandwidth left to cater for other things. So I do feel like as we are growing in different ways, we tend to grow away from things that we used to have space and time for. I think that's just the concept of growing up, right? So I think the idea of it is recognizing the growth that's happening, the growing process, and being able to understand which aspects of you can, avail yourself, and also like knowing which friendships and partnerships you can negotiate into the little time and the energy that you have. And I think the transparency with the people, especially the friendships that are closest to you, you need to like let them know like, yo, I know like we love each other, I love you, I love your journey, I know you're doing great, and I keep interacting with you in different spaces, but I just needed you to know like I may not be available in any significant way across this particular time, or for the next I don't know 1 year or 2. It can be anything. I think it's just the idea of communicating. And I know like when I'm saying it can sound a little bit like you can't do that with everybody, but then that's the point, right? Like I mentioned already, that there are certain levels of access to you that different friendships have. So there are some friendships that are super close to you that are too close, like almost like family. So you need to be able to ensure that those are catered for very much, because those are like the closest. And then when you've catered for that, you can see which ones outside of that you can shop for. The other ones, it can be based on interaction. Once in a while when you remember them, or when they reach out to you and they're asking like, yo, we've not had a chat in a while, or something like that, you can then engage that conversation of, it's been a lot of school, a lot of work, but I hope you're doing well, I'm doing great. So I think for me, what's more important, which is the lesson I've learned that I'm trying to always, remember, is just the transparency and communication of where I'm at and my availability emotionally, physically, mentally for a particular friendship, and my unavailability as well. I think just being transparent means that people can create space for other friendships that can be there for them in ways that I may not be able to, or they may be able to know like, okay, I'm not going to worry about you, we'll just resume when life gets better, or I'm also in the same space, so we'll see when life allows us to come back together in the way that we are, or in a better way. So it can just be that. I think the most important thing is just communicating, which is something that we all may not be so good at. I feel like we all like great communicators, but we're also super terrible communicators. So you might be able to communicate in a particular space, but not in the friendship. So I think it's just being able to just realize and remember to communicate, be transparent, and then I think that allows for a lot of friendships to have better exits, and also to not break people's hearts, because I don't think it's a fair thing to do. I really feel like we shouldn't be breaking hearts. In some instances you can't avoid it, but I feel like we should do as much as possible to not be hurting people, especially people that regard us as friends, or that we regard as friends. So that's one friendship that for me was interesting, and I think I mentioned that one because I wanted to show you the friendships that ended but that have the space to connect, but also the friendships that still leave a lot of joy in our hearts. Like when you think about them, when you talk about them, it's still from a place of like joy and gratitude for that friendship, a lot of like, I don't know, positive vibes surrounding it. So it's one of those friendships where I feel like I feel good about the friendship, even when I talk about it, even though we don't talk as much. And like I said, I'm gonna send a text after this, but I feel like we are always those people that will always be in good space. And we also do have a couple of mutuals, which is very helpful, right? Because then it's like like this is my circle, even though I'm not in constant contact with them. So it's like there's always going to be good vibes even within the circle when we do reconnect, if we do reconnect, or if we bump into each other. So I wanted to bring that one first, because that's a friendship that ends, that hurts so much, but also it's like it hurts, but I'm happy. I hope she's also okay and she's happy about the friendship and where it's at. After we have a conversation, I'll definitely know if she's happy or she thought like there's like what happened as well, because I think that's the question I had. So I'm assuming that's the friendship question that she also had. And then the second one, which is like the most important one and potentially the most tragic one. I'm one of those people in life that it's so difficult to hurt me in friendships, right? You can step away, you can be absent, you can do all those things, those human things. I'm okay with that because I just feel like these are just human things, right? So I can look at it and be like, yo, okay, what's happening here? But I won't be as, crushed by it. But then there are certain things that happen that, that hurt so much, And I think one of the things I experienced was with the friendship. It was a very kind of long time friendship. And that one was not just friendship in terms of length. It was friendship also in the sense of just how valued the person was to me. I think in the order of my friendships, she was like at the top of my list, right? And I think what was very interesting in that friendship was we were in constant communication. So we actually were talking, which is so strange because the other one is like the friendship ended because we were not talking as much, right? And we just continued not talking. And then this one, we were talking, but then the friendship ended. And it ended in a very sad way in the sense of what I mentioned earlier when I started, that there are spaces where someone, puts us as like a friend, like they highly rate us in their life, and then we fail to see that. And then in some instances, us, rating ourselves a certain way, and then they don't see that. So I think one of the things that happened with that friendship was we were so close, and I think in the way that we're close, we knew each other inside. I knew her vision, her dreams, what she wanted to do with her life, what excited her. She's one of those people in life that, I knew like I knew myself in a way, even though like I'd known her for almost just a decade, right? It was just almost 10 years. But I think what was interesting in how we decided, or how I decided to move away from the friendship, was something happened. It was like an incident that happened where I felt like for the kind of friendship that we had, that should not have happened, right? There are certain things that happen where you're like, oh yeah, you know what, it's cool. If you're mad about it, you can be mad, but then you're just gonna get over it. But then there are certain things that should not happen at all. I always believe, and this is one of my strict takes. It could be, controversial, you might not agree with it, but for me, when it comes to partnerships, whether it's friendship, relationships, or at work or in the family, for me, I really carry this idea that you will not hurt people in certain ways that means something to you. So there are certain things I could never do, that I cannot imagine myself doing to a particular friend or a particular family member or my partner or whatever. So it's one of those things where like there are things that I don't think a human being that loves you a certain way would do or would allow to happen to you, right? So that's kind of like me in my friendships and my partnerships. That's how I come in, right? And because I view things that way, it means that I'm very protective of the people that matter the most to me. Like, if you're my friend, I'm very protective of you. If you're my family member, like if you're in my heart, I'm so protective of you. Protective of you in the sense of I will not allow my actions to hurt you intentionally. If it does hurt you and it's something that was beyond my control, I will come in and do my best to just be present enough to say, yo, I'm sorry that's happened, shouldn't have happened. How can I support you or help you in the best way I can in order to, to reverse the impact of whatever it is that would have happened. I'm like, that's me. That's like my stance. I'm like, I will not do anything to someone that's super close to my heart that hurts them a certain way. In the same spirit, my problem is I then expect people to have the same mindset. And I think it's a terrible thing because I always believe, because this is the mindset that I carry, right? I always assume that people would not do the same kind of to me, like, right? If there are certain ways that your friend cannot hurt you, that's my belief. Because I think of my people like that. My assumption is always that people are going to do that. And most of my friendships have always been like this. Like, I have a lot of friends who I know, like, would be so protective of me and would not allow certain things to happen to me. Or they will not do certain things. And part of it is words. We don't use certain words about our friends, to our friends. We also don't act a certain way. We don't allow people to act a certain way towards our friends. We also don't also treat people a certain way. I think it's a lot of words, it's a lot of actions. Like, there are things you should not imagine yourself doing to your friendship, right? So in the same spirit, I would think that my friends wouldn't do the same. So something happened, and then when it did happen, I remember we had a conversation. It was me and her. So we had a conversation, and she was basically explaining, she's like, I know this is gonna get you mad, but this is what happened. And then I remember saying to her that I'm actually very shocked, because I think for me it's the idea that this is not something that would have happened if the roles were reversed, right? If I was in your shoes, this is something that would never have happened to you in our friendship. And so because of that, I feel a certain way. I'm very shocked. So for me, it wasn't so much that this thing happened. It was just this idea of it was allowed to happen. And that's where I'm strict. For me, it's like, you don't allow certain things to happen. Allowing them is the problem. When they happen, I'm like, I can deal with that later. I can deal with whatever has happened. But I feel like I really struggle to deal with the fact that you allowed this to happen, right? So I actually let them know, like, this actually has me feeling some type of way about what I felt our friendship was. Like, who I thought you were to me and who I was to you may not have been the same concept and same person. So in that spirit, I want to, step back a little bit and just, process all of this. So then I stepped back to process all of that. And I think over time, I did let them know, like, what I was thinking, where I was at mentally. But I also let them know that I feel more comfortable stepping away from the partnership, because I feel like at the level at which I thought we were, there are certain things that are in, like, this is a no-go. This is like, we don't come back from this. And then I moved away from the friendship. And then it took a while, because like my love for this person, like I said, she was like, I knew almost as much as I knew myself. Like, yeah, we can say that for friendships, but she meant a lot of things to me. But I also think that my peace and my heart mean more. For me, I value human beings. I love my people, but I feel like I will protect my peace and my joy before that, because I think when I don't protect my joy and my peace, it means I'm opening myself up for things that could harm me. And I don't like harm. Like I already mentioned earlier, I like peace in my life. I like joy in my spirit. I like showing up in joy and growth every day. And so I close my heart to certain things that would hurt me. And so that means that managing also in friendships what I allow to happen to me. So I actually just clarified, like, I feel like this happening when it shouldn't have happened does reshape our friendship. You're still someone that I love, that I admire, but I feel like in this moment I want to step back and do that from a very far place, right? And I did that. And so one of the things about me as well is that if it's a friendship, if it's a partnership, when I leave, I tend to leave. I move away, because one, I'm protecting me. Number two, also, I feel like if your friendship is built around something that is not compatible with me, maybe I'm not the friend to have. You need to be with friends that work very well with the kind of way that you do things, the kind of things that you're comfortable doing in friendships. So that's kind of how I moved away from the partnership. And it was like the hardest decision, but also it was an easy decision in the sense of it's difficult to lose something so important. But for me, it was easy because I was choosing myself. I don't find it hard to choose my joy and my peace. That's something that over the years I've really, refined. Like, I will choose my peace in a moment, in a second, and not look back. So that's kind of how I dealt with it. So it helped me in that sense, because I continue to invest in that joy and my peace, because then I can be grateful for the partnerships and friendships that I have, and I don't have to be harmed and then by extension harm other people. So that's how I moved away from it. And I moved away from a friendship that meant so much. And I know, like, I meant a lot to her. And I hope one day when we look back, she had reasons that, she feels I hope she feels that the reasons she had were worth, the friendship that we lost. But I think just looking back now, I'm realizing that friendship was like super important. It hurt me the most. I've never hurt that much for like a partner. Like, I'm just like, that one was a lot. It was like, God, what are you doing? What are you doing in my life? And I think one thing I'm grateful for was I actually had a friend that knew us as friends. So that friend, because he was a mutual, someone that understood our dynamic where we were at, and also was in the mix of things, and also kind of like lost a friendship in a similar way. So I think that helped a lot to be in a conversation with someone that was familiar with something that had happened to me as something that, happened to them. And because they know both of us. So it helped a lot, because then it meant that I didn't have to like over experience this thing solo. So it was a lot of conversations. And I remember yesterday I sent this person a message and I was like, thank you for friendship, and thank you for just being the person that you are. Because I feel like I said earlier, that there are friendships that show up for certain aspects of our life. So that person being my friend, I've known this person for a long time now. It's about, I think, almost 5 years. And I think it's just this idea of they showed up for me in a moment that I needed them, but in ways that related to, the situation. And I was able to just talk about it. And now, like, when I look back and I'm like, yeah, I didn't die. So I think that's the point. Like, we never die from these heartbreaks, but it's just this idea of how much they hurt. So I know, like, I try to summarize as much as possible. And I also try to kind of just, what's the word for it? I think in explaining this, the difference between the other one that I say, died a natural death, where we were just not talking. And I think as life, starts to take over, friendships also go with that. But then for this one, it was like it had to end because of a decision I made to move away from it. But it also ended because of a decision that the other person made to, do something that may not have been a good thing to do, at least in my mind, in my world. But I think what I'm grateful for in that is it really helped me remember that, like I said at the beginning, that you could be something to someone and they're not that to you. And that's also okay. I think what's more important is accepting it as okay. And which is why I was saying earlier that clarity is such an important thing. It's important for us to provide clarity to our people, but it's also important for us to get clarity from our friendships. And part of it, generally speaking, is it's just like it may not always be like someone is not doing the work for the friendship, because someone can do the work and then something else happens that's big enough to like overshadow all of the work that's being done. So I think it's very interesting that when friendships like that, when they end, they hurt so much, because I think there's too much invested in it. It's like, picture building a house, right? And then at the end you realize, oh, wrong foundation, or I don't know, something else is messed up, or you have to move to a different location, and then like you just have to leave this, or someone else has to take over that. And I think what's interesting about that is we always look at what we've put in, but we don't recognize that in all of its time, when we're putting all of that together, it was a beautiful process. It meant something. We were building something, even though with ideas of what it was. So I think I look at it that way, to say, okay, this is a structure that was almost finished, but you need to move to a new space, and that's just the reality of life. So just trusting that the people that come after you, because you've built something beautiful, will also enjoy it, right? They will finish it and also make it beautiful. And then that whenever you move into a different space, you will also be able to build something that is beautiful, even better, or as beautiful. Or you get there and something is already built and you're just moving in with your bags, which should also be so cool. So I think, yeah, it's a friendship that taught me a lot about life in its exit than it did in its lifetime. And I'm really grateful for it. I think I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with this person, because they are like super amazing. One of the most amazing, inspirational human beings that I've got to meet. And I feel like, without question, their future is bright, and I can't wait to see what they grow to be and become, because I know that the spaces that they get to occupy, the other friendships that they have, they will be able to show up for those people in ways that are more helpful to those people than they were to me. So I'm really excited to see what the universe does with them. But I'm also grateful for the opportunity to kind of have learned this, and the opportunity to have cried a little bit and then recovered, realized, oh, you're actually strong. Yeah, but I realized that I'm actually very strong. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about friendships today, because I think they're such a beautiful thing, and they're a very big part of our life. We do not exist outside of friendships. Friendships will always be in our life. It's us choosing and being intentional about the friendships, and being able to know which ones we can show up for at different points in our lives, and also being honest with the ones that we can show up for, so that people do not have to, I don't know, guess, like, if we are friends like that, because I think it would hurt someone if they were like my friend, if they thought they were my friend, and then I didn't think we were friends like that. Or if someone was consistently checking on you and then I wasn't checking on them, I feel like that would not be nice, right? So I want to always try and use these spaces and moments to just reflect on, okay, what does friendship mean? What has friendship meant for me over the years? How has that changed? What kind of friend have I been? In what ways have I not been a great friend? What kind of friend can I be in this moment, because I can't be the friend I was yesterday? So I think it's just recognizing that as we grow, like we can be certain things, we can't always be other things. So being comfortable with that, and also recognizing that we will break other people's hearts, because it's not always like someone breaking your heart, because this person might have done, something that really changed our dynamic. But also it could be that one day I will do something that, changes the dynamic for a friendship somewhere. So I think it's a cycle of all of us trying to make it work, and when we get it right, that's great. If we get it wrong, sometimes it can be fixed, sometimes it can't be fixed, and that kind of just is, it's life, that's how it is. So I hope this conversation has been useful for you. I hope it's allowed you to really think intentionally about your friendships, really think about how you've been showing up, or the ways that you've been allowing people to show up in your life. And I hope it gets you reevaluating your friendships. I hope it gets you auditing your friendships. But I also hope that it gets you just appreciating the friendships that, mean the world to you, because there's a lot of friendships that are really good. And even the ones that end, friendships ending do not always mean that the friendships are really terrible. It's like a relationship. When something ends, it doesn't mean it was a terrible thing. It could have been good in its time, but not been built for, the person that you are or are becoming. So I think recognizing that and moving forward in joy and that peace, I think it's very, very important. For me, that's more important than trying to look for all the terrible things in in the previous friendship or partnership. So I'm always big on, what's the good that came out of this? What are the things about this that give me joy still, right? And I just move with that, because like I always say, me, I'm an advocate of peace. I'm an advocate of joy. I want to be happy. So anything that brings me joy, I'm for it. If it doesn't give me joy, I'm not going to be part of it. Like I mentioned earlier, that we don't have time, right? So we can't really use the little time that we have for things that don't bring us joy. It's like, why would you choose something that doesn't give you joy when you just have a few hours in your day to be in friendships? So yeah, I think this was, for me, a nice conversation, reflective actually. It's just thinking about it, I need to text my friend. And I also need to just, sit down and be like, okay, this being said, what kind of friend have I been? What kind of friend do I want to be? What kind of friend can I be? And also for the friends that will get to watch this, you can always send me a pin and just let me know if I've been a terrible friend and if we can fix it. And then if you can't fix it, also just finding ways to have conversations around that. And then for the friends that have consistently showed up for me, thank you so much. You're loved. I love my friends, and I'm really grateful for you. Thank you for holding it down for me. Thank you for supporting me, for celebrating me. Thank you for inspiring me, for encouraging me, for being the reason why life looks so nice and why life is such a beautiful experience to have. So yeah, thank you guys. I will see you. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. You can also just follow me on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify. I have an Instagram page as well. It's called the Mantate Show. So on all those platforms, just look for the Mantate Show. Subscribe so that every week on Thursdays when I put out an episode, you don't miss it. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.